Hi there, I'm Kerry Hayes, editor of Tourism Update. We are in studio today with Amanda Kotza-Nhlapo, the Chief Conventions Bureau Officer of SA Tourism. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful. We are very excited. We're talking about Meetings Africa today. We had the media launch yesterday, which got everyone's interest tingling. We're very excited for what's coming up. So I think let's kick off and tell us, first of all, where's Meetings Africa taking place this year?
Well, same place, same time, I want to say, Sandton Convention Centre, in Johannesburg, Gauteng. I think what is great about it is our partners. We went out 2-3 years ago with a bid, and they won the bid, and so we will host this event for the next 2-3 years, in Johannesburg. And I think as the financial hub and of the continent, I want to say, I think it is absolutely the right place to have this kind of event.
Very exciting. And before we do carry on, just for all our participants who have tuned in, please, there is a chat box. If you have any questions for Amanda, please just drop them in there. We will answer all questions, time allowing, at the end of the webinar. Okay, Amanda, what can visitors look forward to at this year's Meetings Africa?
I think the exciting thing about it is that visitors and our exhibitors and our buyers and everyone delegates that come to this trade show, the one thing that they can look forward to is to see the best of Africa in the meeting space. Under one roof, the most exhibitors of Africa in this sector, in the meeting sector. That is really what you can see. People that come, or Africa that is united in its quest to wow the world.
And what is it about the MICE industry that is so exciting at the moment? I mean, we are just growing and blossoming in the sector.
I think the important thing of the meeting sector is that it helps so many other sectors, to grow. We think of the medical sector or the social science, or just science, life science. We think of manufacturing, think of anything that we, us as specifically, I think us as a country, South Africa, we have the 6 sectors that we look after, to make sure that we attract meetings and conventions and exhibitions to further economic development. And I think that is what makes it so exciting, is that it does bring people together to talk about very important issues, and outcome for Africa. I think the world is also looking at Africa. Africa is growing rapidly. We all know that, we will be soon 25%, because 2050 is not so far, 25% of the world's population will live on this continent. And I think that makes it by itself, give you growth opportunities. And we know when we grow, we can create jobs.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw a question out at you. What is so attractive about Africa as a continent for meetings and conventions?
I think, firstly, when you look at the academic or professional and associations, I think what makes it very attractive that there is young people, and there are many more opportunities to have members for these associations, and also certain sectors to grow. I think that is really what makes it, very popular in that sense, because whilst we have very developed fraternities, when you look at Europe or Asia, it is much more developed. They do much more. I think, they look at, or America actually, more than Asia, America. I think now it's Africa's time, to look at people with new innovations. I think we're a continent that come up with new innovations, and that is very much part of this. And then I think from the exhibitions perspective, it is that there is a market. Africa is a young continent. We have people that constantly come into the economic sectors. And they need to, there's stuff to be traded and there's business to be done. So I think that is what makes it. And we know that Africa as a continent, we have of the fastest growing economies is on this, on this continent.
And you talk about these young innovators, these guys coming into the market. Would it be important for them to attend something like Meetings Africa to connect, let's say, with the more seasoned and experienced guys? Make those contacts, that networking. how are they going to grow and draw from this event?
I think that is, what we really would like to see is that people that are interested in new innovative ways to either do a workshop, a sales workshop, for their workforce, or to do a fantastic board meeting, or, any of those things, is to come and see what is happening at Meetings Africa, and meet other people and come up with new, and find out new ideas, because I think that is what it is about. It's about networking. A trade show is way beyond just direct selling. It is really a place where you can learn, because we have Bond Day, Business Opportunity Networking Day, that is happening on the Monday. With really, we're going to have exciting topics, and we're going to have exciting speakers. And one of the things that really came out is that this connection. How do we connect old with new, if we can say that? And I'm of the old ones, but how do we connect, with each other? And I think that is, it's very important. And then I think to just get new ideas. There are so many new ideas that is when people come together, that come to the fore.
And as you said earlier, with Africa growing the way it is, having these innovative and different ways of approaching meetings, exhibitions, that industry, it's very important, especially for these new guys who are trying to break into the industry.
It is extremely important, and I think two things that we specifically very deliberately do at Meetings Africa. The one is that we have what we call the IMEX MPI Future Leaders Forum. And this year we will have universities from Namibia, or students from Namibia, from Zim, to Zimbabwe, to universities, but also Lesotho, and we also add this year Kenya is also come on board. And that with all the South African universities. And this is a global university challenge. And it is the first introduction to these final year students that do tourism as a degree. And they come and participate, and for the first time actually learn about this industry. Because I think when you're on the tourism side, you just think that, oh, I'm going to work in a hotel, or I'm a tour operator, all those things, or just the event organizer, and not going beyond, way beyond. Because I can tell you that if you're a professional conference organizer, it's way beyond just making sure that there are chairs and tables. It is also to help that meeting to market itself, to go into the world, because maybe it's an international meeting, so there are so many opportunities, and this is a fantastic. There is more or less 60 students that participate, and twice we already won the Global University Challenge, because the winner of this event, of these students, go to participate in Frankfurt. At IMEX, where the whole world come together, and twice we already won, that challenge. So that is the one. And the other one that I think is deliberate for new, is that we also have 15 small businesses. And these are people that already participated on international platforms. I want to say it's like an incubator system, they have really exciting new things to tell and to sell. And they, we many of them sign on the dotted line, but it's not also only that. It's also just that connection, like you say, with maybe the bigger, more established people.
And I think also it sounds very practical. I mean, this platform, you go there and you listen to these speakers, you hear about these pivotal topics, and as someone working in the MICE sector, you take in practical developments that are happening in the industry across Africa, and you can bring that home and apply that to your business and grow your business from there.
Yeah, I think it is, the important thing here is that we say that you have 15 minutes or 20 minutes to wow that buyer. Now, many people say, what is these buyers? These people are people from around the world. And we hope this year that we will have a record-breaking number, because we already are breaking, or are having many more than what we had last year. But we believe that we could go up to 400 this year. And, that is a jump from 280 or 290, So, and also, these are people with a piece of business. They have a piece of business, whether it is an incentive group that they are representing, some corporate, that want to come and put their business into Africa, have that 4 or 5 day event in our countries, or whether it is an association, a professional conference organizer, international linked, or whether it is an exhibition organizer or owner, that want to start an African title, as we say it, and those are the people that we are bringing. So they are people that are absolutely going through a real, I want to say, kind of a vicious scrutiny. So there's a whole system where we are accrediting them. And we really are very proud of these kind of buyers that are looking at Africa. I keep on saying that when you go to international trade show, and I'll use them, IMEX, because we partner with them on this other youth program, you go there as the world, to the world. So Africa is part of the world there, and there all the buyers want to buy the world. They are not just buying Africa. So the competition is so fierce. Whilst with Meetings Africa, we are here as Africa, and they are coming to buy only Africa. So the focus that brings, has to have a return on investment for you as an exhibitor when you are, meeting that buyer that you have 15 minutes with.
Sure, 15 minutes is not a lot of time. And that's why you need to go to this event, so you can pick up these tips on how to work with the industry. What do buyers look for when they attend Meetings Africa?
I think the most important thing is someone that can partner with them to have a successful meeting, convention, a successful incentive group, a successful itinerary, a successful link with maybe the economic sector that they are in, the business sector that they are in, whether it is, like I said, science or, I just think of something like we have the SKA. 2/3 is with us. Australia has 1/3. But those are people that are coming. They want to have their meeting in our country because their skills and their profession, that is where they want to come and learn from each other and, meet each other. And so I think that is the most important thing, is that buyers want to know that we as a continent is ready to host them. So our ability to host, and I think also buyers want to be able to sign that deal. They need up-to-date information. They need people with negotiation skills, people with a lot of information, and also I think up-to-date information just of your economy, of your country, if it is South Africa or if it is Ethiopia or Rwanda or wherever. So I think information is a big thing that they are looking for, but then information has to result into something. I can tell them how beautiful my venue is, but if I don't actually can give them the rate card that is competitive and that will get them to host a meeting in our country.
So it's being prepared.
Absolutely being prepared.
And you touched on it briefly in the beginning of our discussion, but from an exhibitor point of view, what exhibitors are we going to see there? I mean, who is representing Africa to our international buyers?
Well, anyone. I want to say anyone and everything, that are part of that value chain, of a meeting. Who are these people? Of course, firstly, they need a destination, so you will see the provincial tourism authorities and their convention bureaus there, all of them. And then you will also, of course, you will see the venues, because we have to have it somewhere. We need to do it somewhere. So venues, all kinds of venues, even venues that are extraordinary, out of the box venues, I want to say, is also there. And then, of course, you will see some organizers, people that would like to do DMCs, PCOs, professional conference organizers, and then services. And that could be anything from sound, audio, it could be printing. It could be just stuff that could enhance your meeting. So those are the kind of people that that are representing us, and that is from around the continent. And of course, they have to stay somewhere, isn't it? So all our hotel groups, and I think that is one of the exciting developments on the continent, is all these well-known brands, that now coming into the country, into our country, into South Africa, but also to the rest of the continent. And it says that there are they definitely, from a business perspective, have a lot of confidence in the continent. And then, those are really, that the accommodation could be from very small to very big. because when you talk about sometimes a smaller incentive group or that board meeting, they want an intimate place, so it isn't just your thousands that we are talking about.
Sure, and it really is, it's thinking laterally and thinking outside of your immediate line of business. What can I offer to these guys coming to this Meetings Africa, and what can I offer and inject into Meetings Africa that could possibly be a product or a service to put into that market?
Yeah, and if I think of what one of the things that we do that I think is really out of the box, and Meetings Africa is known as a green show, we are sustainability, a very important, responsible tourism, very important for us. And one of the things that we have is a sustainability village. And those are 16 arts and crafts businesses that come to the show. And instead of us buying corporate gifts, that folder that no one wants, that you paid a lot of money because it's made of real leather, and they look at this and they think, yo, but I saw a fantastic art piece, or a craft piece. I would rather take that in my bag, is what I take that folder. What happened with your folder? Nicely branded, it stays in the room. And what we are saying is let these people buy for themselves. Let them come and take a piece of Africa back. Take a piece of Mzansi back, of South Africa back with them, but a piece that they want. And so we have 16 of these businesses, small businesses, arts and crafts, and they are... and we are giving our buyers and anyone that we need to give as South African Tourism, the Convention Bureau, a corporate gift, we give them a gift card. And what we are saying to our exhibitors, why don't you add to that gift card instead of buying that very expensive corporate gift that you sometimes made wear, and rather buy local, and so for us that is innovation. It's a new way of thinking. People buy what they want, but not just what they want, but we also inject that money into a small business for them to continue to make these beautiful artifacts.
And that really is taking tourism beyond its core and growing it into the peripheral markets, the smaller businesses, as you said. And I think it's fantastic that guys, the buyers can take a piece of Africa back with them. I mean, that's a reminder of where they went, what they did, who they met, and that takes it out into the world.
Yeah. And we have a fantastic story where a professional conference organizer that was at Meetings Africa as a buyer saw that and bought all their corporate gifts from that one, from two vendors. For an international meeting. And so that is, really what we would like to see when you come to South Africa, that we host sustainable meetings, that we have sustainable businesses, and that we are cautious about how we are treating this continent and the earth.
Gotta love Africa, hey? So take us through very briefly an itinerary of what our buyers, what our exhibitors, what participants in Meetings Africa can expect of the days that the event is running.
So the first day, the Monday, we start off with Business Opportunity Networking Day. We have as part of that program, educational program that is very much the important part for our very important part for us. There will be two streams. One will be a little bit of a more beginner stream, and the one be a little bit more of advanced. But exhibitors could look at that and see, how does it fit them. So we are not prescription on where you need to go. But we will start off the morning of that educational. We will start with the plenary. We will break into two groups and we will end off in a plenary. And that really is for our exhibitors. For our exhibitors to come meet with each other, because they don't have time. They sit at their stand and they need to have these 15-minute meetings, And so that also gives a networking opportunity. There's a networking lunch that we do, after the event. And then and during Bond Day, there's that we call it Bond Day, Business Opportunity Networking Day. We also have ICA, the International Conference and Convention Association, that do an association day, and we are inviting all our associations to that day, and do a little bit of educational for them as well. What issues that they have for themselves, amongst themselves. And then we move, and like I said, the youth program, the student program is also during that day. And of course, that is invited guests, but it all form part of the day. We then also have, and then we started off, the Tuesday, the morning, we have morning live that we are starting off with. And hopefully people are up early to see their stand maybe, because they do go on the floor and showcase a little bit. And then we go into the opening, of the event. Minister will be there. Our dignitaries will be there from our partners. So Gauteng and Johannesburg, and then after that a walkabout with the minister to just see who are our people. That also, it's a lot of excitement when people do that or when this is happening. And then, the floor's open. We continue the day. Our buyers have to commit and sign a contract that they will have 10 meetings per day. So 20 meetings, 10 meetings per day. You are running your head off, but it's important for us that we are bringing them, that we host them, and we know they are good buyers and they have a business to place. And then, of course, on the Wednesday, then on the evening, we have a fantastic welcome event. This year we are off-site for the first time for, I think, 5-6 years, that we are off-site. We go into Kramerville because we need to showcase, not just to these international buyers, but also to our own people. What is the ability of this country, and also the urban lifestyle, of Johannesburg? As a Cape Townian, I have to say that is one of the things that I love the most about Johannesburg. This urban lifestyle that we have, it's just different, and so we want to showcase the best that we have. So that is quite it's a good evening. We also have there. We only do stand awards, green stand awards. We don't have the best stand and the most beautiful stand and all that. And that is, I think, for 5 years now, I would say, that we only do green stand awards. And it's amazing to see how that is why the show is a green show, and is known and won awards, for the greenest show. Because our exhibitors are also very cautious about how we treat, our stand. How do we do it? What do we do? And also, what do we do with our waste? I think one of the other exciting things, we introduced it last year, is that during the lunch hour, we close the show. And everyone go down. We bring in local vendors in the format of your stalls, and they all there, and we buy from the caravans and from everyone, that come and show us real South African food, and people are having that hour to connect. And like we said, this is why we host these events. And on Wednesday, we have the day of the show. We also have during the show what we call business talks in the media center. And it is open to our exhibitors. Of course, it's very much focused on the media, and specifically also our international media, because we host international media to this event. People are topics that are, very important for us to discuss. And that is, during the day. The first day, Tuesday, we have 1 session, and on Wednesday, 2 sessions of business talks.
I'm very interested in these Green Stand Awards. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First of all, as an exhibitor, if I had to get advice from you on what should a good stand look like, and secondly, what do I need to do to be in the runnings for this award?
Yeah, so we have criteria for the award. Maybe I answer the second question first. We do have criteria for the award. It is on the website. They can see. We do it with the Greening Forum for events. It's the official Greening Forum for events, and they are the ones that that also develop that criteria. But it's anything from your design. How many times you use your stuff? Did you? How do you reuse what you bring? How little collateral do you bring? Or how is the collateral related to the number of meetings? That's just a tip. You can still bring printed collateral because, some people still want something in their hand. But do you have on your stand 30 or 40 meetings or 50 meetings, but you brought like 500 brochures? It's not, that is a tip that I give, because that doesn't make sense, I think. But there's, it's about the design, and, there's all this criteria. I don't have them on the top of my mind now, but we definitely, we can also print them with, this session, but also on the website you will find them. I think what makes a good stand is that it has to be functional. I think that's the most important thing. It has to be functional, easy. People need to feel at home, they need to feel comfortable. I think your people need to be very knowledgeable, professional, and like I said earlier, be able to give that information. And it sounds like, but that's not physically the stand, because I think this is about doing that deal, So all of us like to do a deal in a beautiful environment, but that doesn't to say that you need to spend a lot of money on a big, on a stand, and not having the people, decision makers, because that's something that buyers constantly say. We want to speak to the decision maker, someone that can make a decision, because I have this piece of business, as I said earlier. How do I place it? In your venue, how do I place it with your hotel group? So that I think make up a good stand. But for green stand awards, a good stand is also of what material that you use. Is it wood to be recycled? Is it recyclable? And if it is recyclable, what is your plan? How do you do then that recycling? And some of our exhibitors, they come up with amazing stands, with recycled materials that they do, or recycle artifacts that they beautify their stand. But I think the important thing is that that we need to be cautious, about it. A good stand is also what lights do you use? Do you actually have a switch where you switch off your TV when you leave the floor at the end of the evening? Those are stuff that I think become more and more important for us as a show. Because the tourism industry, we bring in people. That's our mandate, to bring people. So we need to be cautious on how we then interact with them.
So there you have it, some hot tips if you're exhibiting at Meetings Africa. I hope you were listening. If you weren't, it's okay. We're going to podcast the interview in an article later today. And thank you to everyone who is typing through to us. We are getting your messages. If you have any questions, please do pop them into our chat box. Amanda, I just want to ask, these networking sessions, the 15 minutes, do you pre-book them? Do the buyers pre-book them?
Yes. So we have a diary system, and all our exhibitors already, we opened a long time ago, and all our exhibitors have then the opportunity to look at these buyers. And and connect with them, apply for a meeting. We have a whole team that are running the system, the online diary system, and the matchmaking, as we call it. Because what is very important is that our exhibitors also need to make sure that they know who they are, if I can put it that way. Because sometimes people think, oh no, it's fantastic to put like 2, 5, 6, 7 things that we do, because there's a Dropbox, you can tick who you are, build your profile basically. But it's important that you are very focused on what you do, because like I said, one of the things that buyers directly told us, we need information, direct answers. That's actually what they call it. Give us direct answers, And so it's important that you put up your profile. So it is a whole system. The diary, you apply for the meeting. There's a 72 hours, I think, 72 hours, I think. And then if the meeting is not confirmed, it will open up your slot. Last year, this time, we had something like 800 or so meetings. We now, this year, already have 2,000, in the system. And we are still a month away, not a full month, but a month away. What is important about this is that you need to research the buyers, their profiles is there. We know what business they have. And the buyers are also, like I said, need to know, this is my piece of business. Not everyone will be able to host them, but they need to have at least a good number that they can choose from, at the end of the day.
And also very important as an exhibitor, if you have a meeting that you've confirmed and set up, be there.
Absolutely.
Those buyers are counting on you. That's potential business that's there. Keep that meeting date and be there.
Yeah.
So this Meetings Africa 2019, how is it different from last year's Meetings Africa?
Well, you know, I think I always have to compliment our exhibitors, you know. The thing that it is different is that we are busy running out of space on the one floor, you know, so we need to go to the second floor. So one of the things that are very different this year is that we moved our restaurant from the trade floor down to -2, you know, level -2. But on the other hand, you know, when we did our briefing sessions with, you know, the last week, we did say that it also gives some opportunity for, like I said, just that coffee that you quickly go and buy to connect maybe with someone, you know, that you wouldn't see. So we try to move out any non-trade floor activities, you know, so meaning if it's a floor trade activity, it's not an exhibitor, to go to -2. So -2 start to become much more of our activations place. You know, the hosted buyer lounge is down there. It was there last year. Like I said, our lunchtime, you know, they go to the food trucks. That is down there. And so it becomes a place of connection, you know. And then I think the other thing is that we have this record number of, you know, of buyers. That is very different. And we also try to introduce extraordinary venues. Or what happened with our stadia, you know. And I just know this from the big conferences, is that when a big conference is happening in the cities, and specifically Durban and Cape Town, they do use our FIFA 2010 World Cup stadia as a place for opening, you know, or for a cocktail function. And so we are looking at those kind of venues to also have a few of them this year for the first time. And then, of course, that will change also the buyers that we invite, you know, that we will go a little bit more onto the event buyers as well. So that is quite a new development that we're quite excited about. I think otherwise it is just that, you know, the growth. And then, of course, as I did explain, Bondi, we changed the format a little bit, where it is, you know, the 2 streams. That wasn't something that, it's also the first time that we want to introduce and see, you know, how it works. But other than that, I think it is kind of a winning formula. You know, we have very good information about deals that are done. And I just want to say about the diary system again. There is no meetings that take place outside the diary system, because our buyers sign a contract and they are all on the diary system, you know. So for you to connect with those buyers, to make sure that you have ROI and that you sign the deal, please, you know, work the diary system.
Fantastic. I mean, this growth is quite something. A bigger venue. I mean, you're expanding in the venue. You've got more buyers. You've got more meetings. I mean, this is a success story in its own. What other success stories of Meetings Africa can you share with us?
You know, I think one of the exciting success stories that is very, you know, very now and, you know, current, is that we will host in 2020. And Meetings Africa will be a platform to kind of like just put it, you know, out there. But we will host a agriculture tech exhibition, and that buyer came to Meetings Africa last year. And so for me, that is, you know, and there are many others of those, but because it's such a huge event, you know, and then I think there are many national associations stories that we can tell. You know, National Association of, you know, of the beekeepers, you know, that didn't know before about how does it work? How do we bid for an event? How do I actually go about it, you know? And now you have them going around the country and going even outside to the continent, you know, and those discussions started at Meetings Africa. So it is, like I think, like I said in the beginning, what makes me the most excited and proud to be part of Meetings Africa is that it is the best offering of Africa under one roof.
It certainly is fertile soil for growing a business, growing connections. Just stepping out a little bit, the role of Meetings Africa in the MICE space. Big question, and I'm throwing it at you.
I think there was quite a lot that we already spoke about it, that we can connect to that question as an answer. But I think one of the things is the role is to advance Africa together. Our theme is shared economies, and it is for the collaborative growth of Africa. I think when we talk about the theme of shared economies, the role that needs to play is that Africa, we need to be together, because this is not a competition, this is a co-opetition, You cannot host the same meeting year after year in the same place. It doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work like that. There are 12,000 plus meetings, international meetings, regional meetings that rotate around the world as we speak, And so that meeting need to move to another place the next year. And that by itself gives you shared economies, because we can share the lead, we can work together. What happened? How did you do it, Rwanda, when you won that bid? Now it has to come to South Africa. What information can you give us? So we really need to work together as Africa. And I think Meetings Africa start to give us that, platform to have that conversations. But then, for me, the most important thing, it's a platform that can help us as the meetings industry of Africa to get more confidence from our buyers and from the world. There are still questions. Can we do it? I mean, after a World Cup, incident-free, after us as South Africa, we host annually more or less 120 plus international associations, and that is not all the thousands of meetings that are taking place. I'm just taking one sector, incident-free, And so, when the world asks Africa, are you able? I think Meetings Africa can really play that role to help us with brand building. Brand building as a continent, brand building that we are together, that we are able, that we are capable, and that we are actually helping each other. And like I said, this is an industry where you have itineraries that are combined sometimes. You will find incentive group now will do 2 countries, or 3 countries on the continent, because they want different experiences. We even have product, as we know. As I said about the hotel groups, we have Rovos Rail, go up into that. That is itineraries, combined itineraries, and that is the I want to say the place, where you can come together as Africa. We can get ourselves ready to sell to the world, because when we are vetting these buyers, it is about, do you have a piece of business for Africa? Of course, we are sometimes a little bit selfish, and because we do have the buyers here in our country, and so the South Africans need to really go out there and put us in the front for this industry.
And really, what you've just said speaks so strongly into that advance Africa together and working together. And it makes me think of the adage of the Musketeers, all for one and one for all.
Yes, definitely. And I think, and I'll just use 2 examples, the very recent examples. The one is Kenya. Nairobi go, and the bomb went off. And everyone is, what is happening? It isn't the time for us as South Africa to say, oh no, we will take all the meetings. What is important is to say, how can we assist? And that is I think that must be the spirit of this sector and of Meetings Africa, is how do we assist now? Because I remember the first time when it happened, at the shopping center, there were association meetings, conventions that called South Africa, called us as a convention bureau and asked we would take the meetings. And we said, no, we will not. We will rather see how can we support, Kenya. Of course, if there were certain things, technical stuff that needed to, that's a different. But I'm just saying that we must rather assist each other. The same as Zimbabwe. You know, Zimbabwe is an exhibitor, and I use the two of them because they are exhibitors for Meetings Africa, and they are playing very hard in our sector, you know, into the meeting sector. And it is important that we support each other, you know, that they have, Zimbabwe have beautiful incentive product, you know, they have beautiful venues. So it isn't a time that we need to say, okay, no, we'll, you know, run. Yes, of course, we are in a competition, but it is how we compete that I think will help us to advance Africa together.
And what did you call it? Co-opetition?
Co-opetition.
Fantastic. Thank you everyone for sending your questions and your comments through. We are still getting them. We're going to get to those in a few moments. So please, if you have any questions, do send them through. Amanda, my last question before we hit the questions from our listeners. NCB campaign. Tell us more.
Wow, we are very excited about the campaign because I think for the first time, we really realized that we also need to be out there to tell the world that we are, you know, a meetings destination of choice. We always did it, but not on a campaign level, you know. And the reason for this is that the growth that is happening, and also I think there is, like we said in the beginning, a shift. You know, how many more people want to have meetings, you know, do they know about us? And also, I think one of the important things is if they see it, they buy it. So at least if they see it, you know, on a campaign, and we have, you know, really lined up to release this campaign, you know, visually. And the campaign is Meet Here, Grow Anywhere. And it's very interesting because I say it's a little bit of the Madiba campaign. Because as Africa and as South Africa, and that's why I started with when they see it, they buy it. We see this. When we host a site inspection, it's when they are buying it, you know. So there's a lot still for them to believe that it really exists. There are really streets and stadia and venues and hotels and a grading council, you know, that we can absolutely stand for that quality control, you know. They are busy on a roadshow as we speak. And also this sector, you know, the venue sector and special events venues are absolutely part of the grading council, you know, criteria, and they are graded establishments now. So I think that is where, you know, it's do that, make that emotional connection, because as we know, when people put their foot onto our shores, they're going back as changed people. And so all that we did as South African Tourism was to look at that from a creative perspective and from that connection perspective, because it is a connection industry. Is that we are, you know, come to the heart. And what we are saying with Meet Here, Grow Anywhere is come to the source of all innovation. And we know why we say that, because just outside my opinion, First People, we have to be the mecca of the world, you know. And so we say come to the source of innovation and go back and take that piece of Mzansi with you and go and do good and change the world. Because, you know, meetings and conventions can change a world. And I'll just use one for us. CODESA changed the world for South Africa. If we didn't have that conference, yes, not everything went okay. But the fact is that we started to talk to each other. And so meetings has that ability to change the world. There are many examples that I can use. AIDS Society. There are certain things that came out of our first AIDS meeting that changed our world. And so that is what Meet Here, Grow Anywhere is, you know, come to the source of where it all starts and to the source of that business innovation and take that back, you know, as a legacy. And so it's not just leave a legacy here, but take it back and to wherever you go and make a difference in your world.
Wow, that is so inspiring. And that is Africa for you. That is South Africa. I actually have goosebumps. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of questions that we've gotten through. Thank you for sending your questions to everyone who's tuned in. This one is from Ndumiso, who asks, do we have any buyers from China, and what are your expectations from them?
Yes, of course. I think something that we didn't touch on is where the buyers are from. The biggest number of buyers is from the US. And then secondly is India, I think, and then thirdly China. They are very close to each other, those numbers. And yes, they are absolutely coming. What is exciting, that we also have some Chinese associations. And I'm talking professional associations, that is coming. And the reason for that is, for the first time, they are looking to have their meetings outside their region. And so that is also exciting for us. So our expectation is that they must put their business into our country, firstly, in our country. I mean, of course, to all the exhibitors, but that is important. And they also go as a group for a post tour. So, because all buyers go on a post tour, and we are covering the whole of South Africa.
How exciting. And Blaine Smith asks, what are the opportunities for Western Cape tour operators at Meetings Africa?
I think there's of course one opportunity is come and exhibit, because then, I think what is important is that whilst the event is happening in a venue in Sandton, it's not for Sandton, it is for Africa. So I think that is important. But I think the other opportunity is that there are post tours. And their convention bureau, the Cape Town Convention Bureau, like any other convention bureau, Johannesburg and Mpumalanga and Limpopo, they all have, or KwaZulu-Natal, they all have convention bureaus that are designing these itineraries and that appoint service providers, for the post tours. So I think two opportunities for me is come and exhibit, because there are opportunities where you can, desktop. That is not so expensive. You may be the first timer that you are coming. And I think with like I was saying about the MICE industry, the value chain is a little bit broader than just, like in a tourism space. And tour operators, yes, maybe they are focusing on, on leisure, but our people need to move from point A to point B, because I just said, just for Meetings Africa, we are moving our welcome event to Kramerville, and we have the event, most people stay around in Sandton, and we need to move them, so there's always an opportunity with meetings from the smallest operators to the biggest operators to be part of it.
And this really does feed into the whole leisure concept. You're here for business, you're here for Meetings Africa. While you're here, go and see the sites, see what Johannesburg has to offer, what the rest of the country has to offer. If you extend your business trip, bring your family along. There's so much you can do here, and Meetings Africa is a central point to just throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amanda, thank you very much for being here with us today. We have recorded the podcast, so please, if you did miss any part of it, or if you would like to share it with any of your colleagues or your teams who weren't able to listen in, you will be able to get that later this afternoon. We will be posting an article on our website, tourismupdate.co.za, and you can listen to the whole podcast there from beginning to end, and really draw from the very important information and tips that Amanda has given us today. So that's a wrap then. We thank you for joining us. If there are any questions that have come through that we haven't answered, we will be sharing those with Amanda, and we will answer those for you. But we thank you for your time, and we hope to hear from you and see you at the next webinar.